off the lights, turn up my mics, roll up some flights, let's all get right. It's that shit you waited for your whole fucking life.
What's going on? Welcome to the Talkbros Sports Podcast. You got your boy Larry right here.
And Charlie. So, just jump right into it today.
So, you've been seeing the Madden commercials. You see it looks like the NCAA games might be making a return.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. I don't think they're going to get nowhere until they pay these players. Or just make a whole NCAA game with new teams, new players and all that. Just completely revamp it.
So you want fake teams?
I don't know how else they're going to do it because, like I said, I don't think that a player will be cool with having their face in these games. Having these games make money and them not being able to get a cut of that.
I think you're wrong because I grew up. So my last year of high school was the very, very last year NCAA was out on the market. NCAA 14. That was my last year of high school. So I was getting ready. I was hoping I was going to play college football at a D1 school so I could be in the game. I didn't care about getting paid to be in the NCAA game. I had buddies that was in the game. They didn't care about getting paid. It was one man that wanted to get paid, Ed O'Bannon. And for whatever reason, I don't know if he was hurting financially or what, and he wanted his money or just something. It was literally one person and it was a basketball player too, not even a football player. It was a basketball player, and he wanted to get paid for his likeness being used. But given the situation, I'm all for players' rights. College athletes should be paid. I want to be on the record saying that right now. College athletes should be compensated because anytime you put your body on the line for entertainment, you should be paid. However, given the situation and the circumstances, I believe college athletes now would much rather have the NCAA game and see themselves in the game than the situation they're in now because nobody's getting paid. So nothing changed other than the fact that we lost the game. So EA, bring my game back. Figure out something. Talk with the NCAA. Make up some fake schools. I don't know. Bring back my NCAA football because I love the pageantry of college recruiting, having to find new players every 4 years. It was just an amazing video game, and it was taken away too soon by somebody who was kind of working for self.
See, I agree with you. I really want the games to come back. Like, I was just yesterday, I was looking to buy the PS3 and the NCAA game. But I don't think that it's fair to the players. Maybe I'm just really like pro players, right? You know, but it's the same thing with the whole take a knee thing. You stand by what you believe in, even if it gets you kicked out or whatever. No matter, because you stand by what you believe in because it's what you believe in. You have to stick strong with that. And
absolutely,
if you believe that you should be getting paid, I don't think that you should force yourself back into the game just to make everyone else happy. Because at the end of the day, it's about you. So
nobody asked Ed O'Bannon to force himself into the game. If that man wanted to get paid, go play pro basketball. He played Division I. He won a national title. He wasn't a scrub. Go play somewhere overseas. Go play in the NBA if you can make it. Like, the bottom line was he didn't make it at those levels, and for whatever reason he went back and came at the NCAA. I'm on board with anybody. I look at the NCAA as a cartel. They take advantage of young adults. I'm not going to call them kids, but they are kids. They take advantage of young adults, use their athleticism, make millions upon billions of dollars, specifically in football and basketball, because those are the only two sports in the NCAA that actually generate a profit. Everything else costs money. And they don't compensate these guys for the work they're doing. It's a full-time job. Football practice, the NCAA says 20 hours a week. Realistically, they're putting in 35 to 40. It's it is a full-time job. And like I said, I totally agree with you. Players have to be compensated. I think the NCAA does need to find something to do about this. But taking away the video game doesn't help anything. It just puts more power in their hands because now they have the ability to say, no, we're not gonna give Electronic Arts the rights to pursue making the video game, and we're not paying these athletes. So they get everything they want, and in turn, us, the consumers, we've lost everything.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, okay.
We'll transition over back to the pro football now. Kareem Hunt handed down that 6-game suspension. This isn't exactly new news, but I haven't spoken to you on it. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a little harsh, but at the same time, there has to be something done about it. But But still, I think it's harsh. I think they're kind of overdoing it to kind of prove a point or send a message, but at the same time, these players got to remember their position and circumstance and got to realize they can't be doing stuff like this. Because, yeah, he did put his hands on a girl. That's wrong. Never put your hands on a girl. I 100% agree. Like, I'm 100% with that. But if you watch the video, it's not like he was just straight up stomping the girl or nothing like that. He just tapped her on the, he tapped her on the leg with his, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have an issue with the suspension. If you're going to suspend players for domestic violence, I believe that needs to be... That's okay. Where I have an issue with the NFL is the lack of consistency and the lack of transparency. And for lack of better words, they're missing a game plan. They have no game plan when it comes to this. They take every situation. I feel like Roger Goodell picks a team, maybe a team that he's not really rocking with or an owner he don't really rock with. And he, in the words of Max Kellerman, he licks his finger and sticks it up in the breeze just to see exactly how everybody's going to act with the suspension. He wants to gauge what the football world is saying. Like, do executives think this is okay? Do our stakeholders think this is okay? And then he makes that decision. But there's no consistency in it at all. There are situations like Ezekiel Elliott where there was an absence of evidence and the police department in Ohio, the Columbus Police Department, didn't pursue anything because there's no evidence, right? At what point do you think you have more authority than the police force, right? And then you see guys
He's
like...
got a lot of authority as he is.
Exactly. And then you see guys like Tyreek Hill, who was already suspended in college for hitting his then pregnant fiancée. And then those tapes get released again, and there's no punishment. It's a matter of picking and choosing who they think will draw public outrage, and they want to limit public outrage as much as possible.
I think they pick who the bigger star is to leave, like Kareem Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They try to cover those
to make an example. Well, what about Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill's not a star.
I mean Tyreek Hill, not Kareem Hunt. Tyreek Hill and Ray Rice had to try to cover those up, and then Kareem Hunt, he was a star, but like
Ezekiel Elliott's not a
wasn't
star.
as big as I'm not gonna name like every single.
I'm just asking, is Ezekiel Elliott a star?
Ezekiel Elliott, as right now, he's an NFL star.
Was he a star when he got suspended?
I mean, in college?
He got suspended after his first season, after he led the league in rushing yards, had the second most rushing yards ever by a rookie.
One of the best running backs in the league.
You would call him a star? Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't line up because I would consider Tyreek Hill a star receiver in this league. Would you? Maybe not elite, but Tyreek Hill is a legit number one receiver.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand because Kareem Hunt's a legit number one running back. So is Zeke. Tyreek Hill's a number one receiver. Like,
but was Kareem Hunt as big of a name as Tyreek Hill? As Tyreek Hill was this year, as Ray Rice was.
As big of a name, he might not be as electrifying, but Kareem Hunt was a household name.
That's what I'm saying though. The bigger names, how they kind of rub, just kind of was just like, was put those to the side, and as soon as something happened with Kareem Hunt, they were just on him about everything.
Yeah, and the NFL has a lot of work to do on this because we've seen issues with this going all the way back to Greg Hardy. I mean, the fact that they let that man anywhere near the league shows how little they care about this, and everything they do is just a PR move, just to try to see what the majority of their fans want. That's why they're trying to limit the kneeling, because the majority of fans are not on board with it. I mean, at the end of the day, the NFL isn't going anywhere. Sad as it is, these people are trying. Alliance of American Football has tried. The XFL has tried. The NFL isn't going anywhere. That's the only league that has legs to stand on as far as paying these guys, which I still think some of them are pretty underpaid, especially guys that are drafted later, guys that are not guaranteed contracts, all kind of things like that. But I think the NFL has a long way to go, but they're going to be able to take those steps because there's not another league that can compete with them. Everybody folds after a couple of years.
And then also, before transition, let's talk about these players real fast. Players, y'all got to remember, y'all are black athletes. It's not the other way around. You got to remember that whatever you do, you're being looked at because you're black. So remember that when you're in certain circumstances. When you're at a party, eyes are on you. When you're drinking with your friends, eyes are still on you. It doesn't really matter where you are, they're still going to have eyes on you.
You're at a concert, you're at a bar, They don't know who you are. They're drunk. You're drunk. They just see a black person first. So you gotta, it's our responsibility, right? We gotta conduct ourselves different. That's just kind of the rules that have been laid down for us here. And that's, I mean, the bottom line is if we want to keep surviving and keep prospering, that's what we got to do. They see you as black first. Most of them don't even know what your day job is because, to be honest, football players, y'all wearing helmets. Don't nobody see what your faces look like. And honestly, y'all don't have the same leeway that maybe an NBA player has or that a baseball player has. For sure not what a baseball player has because those guys are kings of the rage moments. I mean, baseball players get to throw stuff all over the dugout, break stuff with bats, and nobody says anything about them. Odell kicks a net, and he's a diva, and he's the worst teammate ever. Like, you guys don't have that type of leeway. Right, wrong, or otherwise, it's the truth. The bottom line is your pocketbooks depend on it, so let's start acting like our pocketbooks depend on that.
But just transition. Rookie contracts. What you think about rookie contracts?
I think there's going to be a lot of holdouts moving forward. The NFL is changing, right? We have guys that are uber athletic these days. They're coming out 20 years old. Saquon Barkley, he's 20 years old, and he's got this type of freakish athleticism that you can throw him right in the fray with the best athletes in the entire planet.
And he'll still produce.
Exactly, and this is just the way things are going now. Zion Williamson is 18 years old, and he's bigger, stronger, faster, and more athletic than all of these grown men who have been training to be athletes their entire life. This is just the kind of technology, training, nutrition, the things we're exposed to.
How young they're starting too.
Exactly. Athletes are specializing at a younger age, which I don't particularly agree with, but that's just what's happening. The thing is with football, in the first round, and especially if you're drafting in the top 10, you're picking a guy that is expected to be a cornerstone player for your franchise. You're hoping, with that pick in mind, you want them for football. You want them on your team for the next 10 plus years, even if they don't play immediately. Take Patrick Mahomes. Us in Texas, we knew the kind of stud arm Patrick Mahomes had. Sat behind Alex Smith for a year. Andy Reid knows what he's doing. He's a good coach. But the plan was always for Pat Mahomes to be the starter for a decade plus. And you see that. Immediately he comes out, this man wins the MVP. For all intents and purposes, this man was a rookie. He was 23 years old, a rookie, and he won the MVP. Like, you're drafting these guys to be cornerstones, to be players that are supposed to play for your team forever. Now, do they need to be seeing $30 million a year contracts like these star QBs are getting? No. But when you sign a not necessarily a first team All-Pro, but when you're bringing back a starting caliber player, they're getting paid decent money, and they're getting paid more than first round, day one draft picks are. I think day one draft picks need to be renegotiated in the next collective bargaining agreement. Go ahead and give these guys a little bit more guarantee, pay these guys a little bit longer, and get rid of this fifth-year option. This fifth-year option is a way for teams to hold these players hostage, especially running backs. That's why Zeke, Melvin Gordon, by the time...
So they all holding out?
Yeah, they're all holding out, and that's what's going on. By the time they're able to break away from that contract and become free agents, they're over the running back hill at 28, and then they can't get paid. So unless you're a first-round pick as a running back, change positions. I mean, if the NFL's not going to budge on that, which they need to, yeah.
And then also some of it might be out of fear that they get another Sam Bradford or Jamarcus Russell.
Absolutely.
They might be like, Jamarcus Russell held out and he get like 30 mil, something like that?
Jamarcus Russell got a monstrous contract. It was like 7 years. And for the time, it was monstrous. It was like 80-something thousand, or 80-something million. But for a first overall pick and a rookie quarterback, like the numbers that him and Sam Bradford put up were unprecedented. Neither one of them necessarily lived up to the hype. I think Sam Bradford was a pretty good quarterback while he was in the NFL. I think he was definitely overpaid. The way the contract aged might not have been so bad, but for what he was paid and expected to do as a rookie, even when he signed the contract, I thought he was overpaid just because I'm going to have
like a $50 million contract.
It was ridiculous.
Then the next year was a huge drop-off too.
Well, the collective bargaining agreement that actually made rookies not be able to negotiate their contract was because of this. It's the Sam Bradford rule, more or less. Mm-hmm. Him, Jamarcus Russell. But that's just what happens, and you can't blame the players for that. That's a team's lack of diligence. Because if a player is dominating at the college level, a couple of things are happening. The player isn't working and treating the league like a job, which is on the team, because they need to find out if that guy is willing to treat pro football like his job and like his livelihood. That's on the team. Either he's not being developed the way he should be, that's on the team. or there's just all kind of things. But it stems from the team that picks these guys up, and they want to place the responsibility squarely on the players.
And it's not the players' fault. Because the teams, even when they're in college, they could go, like with Justin Blackman, the dude, he's an alcoholic, right?
From Oklahoma State, yes sir.
The Bucks, I think the Bucks traded their pick to the Jags, right?
To the Jaguars.
The Bucks, it took them like 1 week to find out that he had a problem with alcohol. It took them only 1 week. So the fact, it's not the player, you can't blame this on the players because the teams aren't taking their time, because the Bucks took their time to figure out what was going on with Justin Blackman, and they found out in a week. So the fact that a team can't find out a problem with a player, that's not on the player. I mean, it's on the player because they should be working hard. They should be putting their work forward, but you can't throw it all on the player.
And the NFL is a revolving door anyway, so you have to plan for these types of things to happen. And if you know that these things happen, don't spend a first round pick on them. You see, the Cowboys are kings of this. They'll take a surefire first round pick and then take a chance in the second round. A guy that maybe isn't gonna play this year, but he's a solid player and he's supposed to do some things in the next few years. I'll take that chance with the second round pick. But the first round pick, this guy who's getting at least $25 million guaranteed in his first 4 years, he's going to be a player that I'm going to do my due diligence, my research, I'm going to study, make sure this is the right fit for me and my team before we move forward. And I think that's the team's responsibility to make. And if you're going to bring these guys, especially running backs that are getting drafted in the top 5 and taking a pounding and never going to be compensated the way they should be, because in my opinion, running back needs to be maybe not the longest term, but as far as with the fundamental principle of putting your body on the line and getting paid, running backs deserve to be paid right up there next to the left tackles of the world, the defensive ends of the world. So I think it's just the teams have to do their due diligence when they're drafting prospects. But I also feel like the NFL does have to renegotiate in this next collective bargaining agreement, get these guys paid more as rookies, because when you're putting up record-breaking numbers and you're getting paid pennies compared to what a guy like maybe a Le'Veon Bell who hadn't played in 2 years or hadn't played in a year, and last time he had played he got hurt and he's still making more than Zeke. Like, that's just...
Zeke's holdout. What do you think of that?
Oh, we
how do you feel about Zeke's holdout?
Oh man, Zeke. I mean, I agree with him. You know, running backs, you got to get paid, man. He's the engine that makes the offense go. And the bottom line, man, he's 23, about to be 24 here soon. So if there's ever a time to catch your money, man, it's right now. The only issue I have is he's still got 2 years left on his deal, or he's got 1 year left on the deal, and a 5th year option, which you know that the Cowboys are going to pick up. So my man, you'll be 26 before you'll really have a chance to really will and deal for the contract you deserve. I don't think he's wrong for holding out. I think he's proven he don't got to play in a preseason. He came out his rookie year, showed what he had to do, treat it like a job, right? Come out and play your rookie season, and then he did his thing. But Zeke is proven 2 rushing titles in 3 years. The only reason he didn't have 3 was because Goodell was finicky with his suspensions and does whatever he wants. But yeah, 2 rushing titles in 3 years. He's proven all he needs to prove on the field. So, and he proves that he works hard when he's not with the team. So, I mean, he can hold out. He definitely deserves to get paid. But the bottom line is, man, you're probably not gonna.
It sucks too, because running backs are some of the better athletes on the field.
Best.
Yeah, they're taking the most punishment play in and play out, except for maybe like offensive linemen. But I would argue that running backs take a little bit more, and they don't get paid as such. That they're the best athletes on the field. They don't get paid like that. They don't get shown the love that they deserve, is what I'm trying to say. So I think for the money aspect, he's right for holding out. But as far as how it's gonna work out for him, I don't think it's gonna work out the way he's planning on it.
No, and we've seen a real life example with a guy like Le'Veon Bell, who is already held out. He'd spent an entire season not playing football because he wanted to be paid like a number 1 running back and a number 2 receiver. When Le'Veon is definitely the more versatile of the 2 backs. I think he can bring a little more to the offense than Zeke does. He can't dominate the way Zeke does, though, I don't think. But Le'Veon didn't get near what he was asking for in contract negotiations. So I feel like we literally just watched what happened with this. And I think if you got a couple options here. You either sit out and wait an entire season and see what they do, or just demand a trade. Tell them you ain't coming and go to a team that you know will pay you. But it's rough on running backs these days. It really is. It's super sad, man. He's going to be 26 before he's able to negotiate a contract, and he's just got to pray that in a position that takes the most punishment in a game, yeah, you get hit every single play. You got to pray that you really got to pray that you don't have any injuries, and he's proven to be durable. But I understand why he wants his money. I hope he gets it. I don't see it happening.
And this is why rookies should get paid more. So this situation doesn't happen as often. Well, maybe it'll still happen. I don't know.
It'll definitely still happen because even if we paid Zeke the $50 million contract that Sam Bradford got, he'd still be asking for more. Mm-hmm. Bradford got paid like $8-9 million a year as a rookie, which I mean that's insane. You go from being a college student with
no money,
nothing to that. Yeah, it's still a transition, but I mean, if he got the Sam Bradford contract or the Jamarcus Russell contract, he would still be asking for more to this day because he's already proven that he's worth more. In my opinion, this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. It don't matter what team he plays for. If he plays a healthy, at least 8-year career, I think he'll be a Hall of Famer. He's on the track to it. He's on the fast track to it. It's just he's got to find a way to make sure he's compensated the right way too, because he takes a lot of punishment, and he's built like the Man of Steel. He doesn't break down. He's
6'1", 2
about 6 foot 230. He's a big boy. He's solid. But yeah, that's this situation right here is exactly why rookies should get paid more. Saquon Barkley should have did it. It's interesting to me to watch a guy like Kyler Murray turn away MLB money.
That's what I was thinking.
For less NFL money.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, he's doing what he loves.
Money and longevity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, follow your heart, do what you love.
Yep, he's doing what he loves.
He's getting paid either way.
Yep, and I've been watching Kyler Murray since we were about the same age, since we were about 14, 15, and man, he's an amazing football player. He's a baller. He's gonna do some things in the NFL, but you can't help but question it, man. I love football as much as the next guy, but you can't help but question it. Baseball would have been a lot easier on his body. Probably would have got paid a lot more. From what I hear, never seen him play, but from what I hear, he was a better baseball player than a football player. So that's interesting. We'll see how those choices, benefit him moving forward. But I think it's all going to kind of come down into place and see why people are choosing football over baseball, even though it's less money, less security, and all that good stuff. But hopefully, I'm hoping, back to Zeke, I'm hoping he gets his money. If it's not from the Cowboys, then I hope we can deal him off somewhere else where somebody will pay him, because he deserves to get paid. He works hard. Got to correct a couple of things off the field. He's got to show he's a little more right. Not trustworthy, because he's not.
It's just a maturity thing.
Yeah, he's not reckless.
I think he's just a young kid who got some money. Yeah. And an NFL athlete, he kind of forgets his position. So
he ain't never grew up broke, though, is the thing. But I don't know. I think he's got to come up with. He's got to show that he's the guy that they can depend on day in and day out. I think he's got to develop a little bit of that Dak Prescott attitude. Dak Prescott doesn't have near the ability that Zeke has, but you never have to
walks around like he's
right. Like that's his team. He's the leader. He's making sure everybody else is on their P's and their Q's. And I think if Zeke can show a little bit more of that, I think he'll get paid the way he should, especially if he has a big year this year.
So Cowboys got Alfred Morris in light of the Zeke holdout. Feelings? I can already tell what you're about to say.
What's the point? Mm-hmm. What was the point? For what? For what? He didn't even play when we had Darren McFadden. What are we doing? Is he going to be a coach?
I don't know if they think they're going to replace Zeke with Alfred Morris or what, but that's just not going to work.
For what?
Alfred Morris can't produce like Zeke.
For what? I don't understand it. Eric Berry is just sitting on the market, waiting. We need a safety. What are we doing? That's all. I don't have anything else to say about that.
Yeah. Off that. Mike Thomas, contract extension. Michael Thomas.
Well deserved, man. Well deserved. He's got a great guy throwing him passes too. We'll see what happens when.
Greatest of all time.
Yeah, in my opinion, the greatest of all time as far as just quarterbacks go. Mm-hmm. But we'll see what happens when Brees isn't in his life anymore. But I mean,
he could catch football.
He sure can.
He could catch.
I'm happy he got paid. He reset the market. So the only thing that makes me worry now is Amari Cooper. He's not necessarily holding out or looking for money, but he's reset the market. And if Amari Cooper has a type of year,
the Mike Thomas money, he's like, ooh, maybe I can get some of that.
So that's just putting more of a hamper on what's gonna happen with Zeke and Dak. But congrats, Mike. Congrats, man.
Earned it.
Can't guard you. Can't guard Mike. Back to the recorded program. Where we at?
Most impactful holdout. Whose holdout put the most impact on the NFL?
Who hurts the most? That one's easy. We already talked about it. Zeke. Bottom line, we're still a competent team. We've got great pieces. Apparently, this Tony Pollard guy is ripping it up in minicamp. Mike Weber's a solid guy at Ohio State or Washington College a little bit. He's pretty good, but I mean, there's no replacing Zeke. I don't think we've seen.
There's none at all. Two for 3 scoring titles, and one was because he was suspended. Yeah, there's nothing at all.
And look, we got a great team still. We won 9 games when Zeke went down for 6 of them. And in my opinion, I think Des Bryant really cost us a playoff appearance that year. Not that one person can be blamed for the entire downfall, but I think the person that had the biggest hand in costing us a playoff berth that season was Des Bryant. His outburst. Him and Dak they didn't mesh well. But
Des is more explosive while Dak is.
Mm-hmm. And we were winning the game, and Des was kind of losing it over there, and not losing it, but he was just kind of tripping, like, stay composed. But I mean, yeah, I definitely think it's Zeke. I think we'll still have a decent offense without him. We got more creativity now. Linehan's out, Kellen Moore's in. Kellen Moore's a great football mind, great football mind. He's as little in lack of ability as he had. He still was able to make some things happen on the field. So imagine what he'll be able to do with pieces that have
he understands the game.
Right, the ability. But I definitely think having Zeke makes us a Super Bowl contender this year, and I think I'll call it. If we have Zeke, I think we'll come out of the NFC this year. If we're without Zeke, then I think we're talking about the Saints or the Rams again. I think it'll end up being pretty tight with the same teams. But I think Zeke is the one that hurts the most. I think the Chargers will find a way without Melvin Gordon. There's a couple other guys. They all end up coming back to camp for the most part. But it's really just Zeke and Melvin Gordon at this point. Melvin Gordon's requesting a trade, so that shows you how important LA thinks he is. I need to go back to San Diego. That was a horrible movie.
Girl, that was my favorite team when I
I forgot about that. You had your Chargers hats? Yeah. Dang, that's crazy. What do you think? What you got?
For most impactful,
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on Zeke. I think Zeke is probably gonna hurt the team more than anyone else. Yeah, I'm pretty much with you on that one.
No Zeke. All right, well, yeah.
But
honestly, man, Dallas, talk to this man. Make sure he's coming back for the regular season. If you don't want to pay him right now, I don't blame you, dude. He tears an Achilles and then it's all over. But make sure y'all get this man back for the regular season. Make sure y'all take care of him, because y'all don't have no chance of winning the Super Bowl without him. We don't. I mean, Jerry said we don't need an Ezekiel Elliott back. He's right. We don't need any Ezekiel Elliott, but we do need this. We need this Ezekiel Elliott back there in order for us to head where we want to go.
So completely switching sports. CJ McCollum, he got his 3-year, $100 million extension, and I'm personally proud of CJ because he balled out in the playoffs. I think he showed why he was worth that $100 million against the Nuggets. When Game 7, Dame wasn't having the greatest game, he came in and scored that game-winning bucket. CJ is really good in the clutch performance. He's really good. Probably one of the better mid-range shooters behind like KD, maybe. CJ's one of the better scorers in the league. I think he deserves that $3 million, that 3-year, $100 million.
Congratulations, Portland. You will be a 4 or a 5 seed forever. Forever. You will be a 4th or a 5th seed and see a second round playoff exit every year. Last year you had your Carmelo Anthony and the Denver Nuggets year. You guys took them to the conference championship, which is awesome, but I mean at the end of the day you didn't make any noise. You didn't do anything.
It's the Golden State Warriors.
Who lost in the finals?
It's the Golden State Warriors.
Who lost in the finals?
It's the Golden
The
State
Clippers. The Clippers took them to 6 games. I don't want to hear that. CJ is a great player, bro. I'm happy you got your money. I would love to have you on this podcast one day. CJ, I would love to be a part of your podcast.
I was about to say, quit bad mouth. CJ.
I would love to be on your podcast. I have nothing against CJ. You were worth every bit of that $100 million. But that core in Portland, with all the changes that's going on in the West, they pretty much stood pat. Lost Cantor.
Nurkic's not hurt anymore.
Nurkic isn't hurt, but
And they got
they re-signed Rodney Hood. They lost Mo Harkless, which was a big one. They lost him to the Clippers. So I mean, it's just.
They got Gasol, but Gasol ain't gonna do nothing.
Powell? They got Powell?
Yeah. He ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah, but that's my guy though. I like Powell. But
He gonna be on the court with the cane though.
I'm saying, look, Portland, that standing pat with that backcourt wasn't the best option. CJ, you would have got paid $100 million somewhere else, my man. Somebody else would have paid you that money, and I think ultimately you and the Portland Trailblazers would have had a much better shot to compete. That's just my opinion on the matter. Like I said, I'm all for y'all getting y'all. You and Dame both cashed out, and I couldn't be happier for you guys because I do.
I'm personally happy for Dame.
Oh yeah,
he's my favorite player in the league.
Yeah, and see, I got a lot of love and respect for Dame, just the type of person he is.
What he does outside the game.
Absolutely. Him and CJ, they're both good dudes. They both work hard, give back to the game. So, as far as from a personal standpoint, nothing but love, nothing but happiness. But from a game standpoint, I don't see as currently constructed.
I'm probably looking at it more from a personal standpoint.
Yeah.
How I feel about the players in general.
Yeah.
I really like CJ, so I'm happy he got his money.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I like both those guys too. Happy you got your money, but it's presently constructed. Y'all are gonna be a 4th, 5th, 6th seed maybe, and then probably see first, second round playoff exits for the rest of the time you guys are together. You know, y'all. Dame is pushing 30 now. CJ, you about 27, 28. Hopefully you guys still got some left in the tank, some prime left in the tank when you guys are done here. But I don't see you guys winning a title in Portland. I get the loyalty piece. I love it. I'm here for it. But I'm also here for the titles too. Not the KD way, but I don't think anybody really did anything wrong this summer with, you know, the choices they made. There's gonna be some parity in the league, which I'm looking forward to. But I mean, prove me wrong.
As a Raptors fan, Kawhi was horrible. Kawhi's a demon. As a Raptors fan. But I feel like looking at it from the game standpoint, if you're playing the game of basketball, your goal is to win. If you're playing any sport, your goal is to win championships, and in this or be known as the greatest of all time, so in this time where ring counting is a thing, how Jordan is automatically better than LeBron because he has 6 rings or stuff like that. I think you gotta get a ring somehow, somewhere, else you won't be respected.
And then you can even look at a guy like Carmelo Anthony. Are we talking about him later? No. Cool. I'm gonna touch on him now. Then you even look at a guy like Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo's a basketball Hall of Famer, but if it was just an NBA Hall of Fame, I don't know that he'd be there. Carmelo's a basketball Hall of Famer because he was a walking bucket. In the time where he was playing, ISO scoring dominated the NBA. Guys like Joe Johnson were number 1s on championship contending teams. Like
the fact that championship didn't get to them, that's what automatically cuts them out.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem.
Absolutely. And I think if Carmelo wasn't Captain America as far as with our international play and, you know, our leading scorer and all of that, I think Carmelo might end up being left out of the Basketball Hall of Fame. Sad as it is, man played 15 years at a very high level too. And he's
still playing.
And he's still one of the 450 best guys in the world. He's just not. He's got some other things personally that he's got to work through, and he's waiting for a call. I mean, I hope he gets one. But I mean, yeah, that championship, you got to be in the discussion. Maybe not necessarily joining the 73-win team, but I think you got to find a way to put yourself in that discussion, or be willing to sit and take a little bit less so you guys can bring in. I know Portland's a small market, but I don't see you guys getting back to the conference championship this year. I don't see you guys getting out of the second round this year, if I'm being quite honest with you. But I think you got to always put yourself in a position to compete. Like, the bag is nice. The bag sure is nice, especially when you're living in Oregon. You got to get the bag. But I think you got to... Somebody would have paid you that, man. Somebody would have paid you. There's not that many great 2 guards in the league. Somebody would have paid you.
So, Tim Duncan, my bad. I really lost my train of thought. Tim Duncan on the Spurs. He's Spurs assistant coach now. Do you think that will change anything as far as the...
I'm going to preface what I'm about to say by letting everybody know I'm about to get extremely emotional. This is coming straight from the heart. I grew up a Spurs fan right in the heart of San Antonio. Right in the heart of San Antonio. I am a Spurs fan to the core. I have nothing but love and the utmost respect for Tim Duncan. That man in my opinion, he's overlooked in the greatest of all time conversation because the man never lost. He never missed the playoffs.
5 rings.
5 rings. Really, we were a freakish 3-pointer away from 6. Because, good Lord, Ray Allen didn't even look down. Like, my goodness. He didn't even know where he was at, and he was in the little baseline area shooting the 3. Like, gosh. But I think Tim Duncan brings an element of calm, just that calm confidence to the Spurs. I think we were chasing an identity that we aren't. Trying to score, trying to shoot threes.
That's what I was thinking.
Score 150 a
That's
game.
what I was watching. When I watch their games, and you watch them play, we don't have the firepower on our team to go and throw up 120 points a game, 115 points a game. We're not going to win that way. We have to bring in
We need
the
stops.
loss of DeJounte. That hurt defensively.
Huge.
And that's what we needed, defense. And DeJounte, I really was sitting there crying. Because I think Dad told me at Granny's funeral, I think. It was
That DeJounte got hurt?
Yeah, and I was really in tears the whole time. I was really fighting back tears.
Yep, right in the preseason. But, I mean, him and Derek White have a shot to be the best backcourt defensive duo in the league. I mean, maybe I could see who's Lonzo with Drew Holiday. That's going to be a solid combo of lockdown backcourt defenders. But I think backcourt defense is starting to become cool again. Defense is starting to become cool again. Just the length those two guys have, the athleticism, both of them. DeJounte, I think, is way more athletic than Derek White, and Derek White got sneaky bounce. He'll just dunk on you, and you don't even know.
Who you Millsap in the playoffs?
He dunks on everybody. I'm saying, but I think Timmy will bring that culture back. We were
The
hoping,
winning nature.
the winning nature, but the culture of the check your ego at the door. Nobody's bigger than the team. At the end of the day, one player isn't gonna alter things. I think we lost a little bit of that with Kawhi. I think we saw just the ridiculous play that man had in 2016, and God, man, he was or 2017. I'm sorry, he was dominating. 2017, he was.
18, yeah.
He was dominating in 2017, and I think as Spurs fans, we've never had that. So we got real excited, and then when the man tells us he's hurt, we're freaking out like, bro, this is our first MVP candidate since Timmy. It's our first star player, but Kawhi doesn't have that personality. He wants to do what's best for him, do what's best for his family. Nothing wrong with that. That's just kind of the way it is. But I think bringing Tim back will bring back.
I mean, looking at his upbreaking, that's what. Watch his
Yeah.
dad get shot right in front of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna want to
Absolutely.
put your family first.
But I think what's best for the Spurs franchise is coming back to that selflessness, the family element of it, team before self, all of that. And I think that's exactly what Timmy's going to bring right back into the fold. And I think just the element of love and respect. Timmy's got way more accolades than any other assistant coach we've ever had. Mike Budenholzer, Ime Udoka, Jacques Vaughn, like, yeah.
Jeez, we make good head coaches up
tree,
in Spurs.
the Greg Popovich coaching tree is ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. But yeah, I think Timmy has the potential to be the next great coach because of how stoic he is. Never too high, never too low. I think that is exactly what the Spurs need a little bit of. But I also like the fire we got. DeJounte Murray comes with a lot of fire. I think those types of guys. I think DeMar DeRozan actually comes with fire too. He's a little different. I don't see DeRozan staying after this year or Aldridge. I think we're going to enter a full rebuild.
I hope so.
And we'll have a little bit of money too, so maybe a good free agent signing. Who knows? But I think Timmy's a very, very underrated person to bring in from the Spurs. Just as I think Becky Hammond too. I think Becky Hammond will end up being a head coach in the next few years. I don't know where. But I think she will end up being a head coach, and I think we can use some of that. We need it.
Yeah, I think Timmy will definitely bring it.
Mm-hmm.
Will bring what we need. Bring it back to team. Bring it back to the team. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Bring it back to the team first.
Team and defense. People forget Timmy was an elite defender in his prime. He was elite. So I think that defensive coaching and just that awareness, and he did it without elite athleticism. So I think him being able to get a hold of these guys that are way more athletic than he ever could have hoped to have been.
And bringing their mind.
Yeah.
Bringing their intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Game.
The intelligence on the court, but also the making good choices while you're off the court.
Yeah.
The camaraderie was a big piece, and I think that was missing last year. I really do. I think we were a bunch of pieces. We were a bunch of guys that like to shoot threes. We could shoot the mess out of the three ball last year, and that's the most. I've ever seen the Spurs jack up threes.
Brandon.
Bellinelli, Brent Forbes, Derek White can shoot the three a little bit. I mean, yeah, I think DeRozan and Aldridge were the only ones that didn't shoot threes. We had Bertans last year, we just traded. But I think we're making moves to get back to that Spurs culture that was winning. Trey Lyles, I think, was a super underrated signing. He's looking like, or he looks to me, based on how he plays, he'll be a new, more athletic Boris Diaw. Just kind of that do-it-all type guy, that Swiss Army knife that we need. Lonnie Walker, man, in the Summer League, he lit it up. I can't wait to watch him.
Keldon Johnson.
I can't wait to watch him play. Keldon probably won't play much this year.
I'm waiting to see what Keldon Johnson becomes in the next couple of years.
I'll tell you right now, expect him to be a G League guy. And he'll play a couple of games, but expect him to be a G League guy.
Not this year specifically, but the next couple of years, I'm really waiting on that one.
And you know, Lucas Samanic might be a little bit underrated. You know how we are as Spurs fans.
You know how I feel about that, but I'm just mad.
Yeah.
I was just mad that whole day.
You wanted Nazir, I know. But, I mean, think about it. Growing up, I always watched the draft, waiting to see who the Spurs would take, hoping we would take a guy like I would recognize the name, and I never did. It was always a name I couldn't pronounce. But we somehow would trade him.
Ginobili?
Yeah. Emmanuel Ginobili? Who's Ginobili? But, I mean, they know what they're doing up there. R.C. Buford actually stepped down now, so we have a new general manager. So I'm super interested to see what happens. I think the Spurs are making some behind-the-scenes moves that might not be as sexy as a trading the farm for a Paul George, or like OKC getting 5 draft picks for Paul George. But we made a mistake with Kawhi. I think we took a lot less than we could have gotten for him. But ain't no sense in crying over spilled milk. I think they're doing everything they need to do now in order to kind of right that wrong, bring in the right guys, and make sure we're back to competing again. We're probably not going to be competing next year, but the year after that, I think we'll be a championship contender again.
7th seed.
Probably 7th or 8th seed next year. We'll be a contender in the next couple of years.
So, what GM was it that said building around LeBron was fun?
The Griff.
Yeah, so he said building around LeBron was not a fun process. I personally think that when you have LeBron on your team, you're automatically in contention to win a title.
Agreed.
So you're trying to build around him to put him in the best position to win a title. Because if you have LeBron and you're not in that position, you're doing something wrong.
You're getting fired. Look like the whole Lakers team got cleaned out this year. And LeBron was hurt. He didn't even play all season. They cleaned out the entire roster. They cleaned out the entire front office. Like, come on.
How you feel about it? Just the GM saying that in general.
I need some further explanation on that. I mean, look, you know what comes with the job when you get LeBron James. You mean to tell me LeBron James, you didn't want LeBron James on your team? It wasn't inorganic. You guys were drafting for years. He was gone 4 years. You drafted a whole bunch of players, and y'all still were in the cellar. You still had the first overall pick before he came back. Right. Had Kyrie, who's one of the best point guards in the game.
For Anthony Bennett for some.
No, don't tell me that. It was inorganic and it wasn't fun. What you were doing couldn't have been fun because you guys were trusting the process. These guys were playing. They weren't hurt. And you still weren't delivering results anyway. So don't act like LeBron is like horrible and ruined your general manager experience. If anything, LeBron saved your job.
He brought your team a championship.
I'm saying.
At the end of the day.
LeBron saved your job.
Against the Golden State 73-9 Warriors.
Yep. LeBron saved your job, Griff. Now, LeBron didn't necessarily have to respond to him because, I mean, we all know what LeBron brings to the table as a basketball player. But we saw the job David Griffin did. He picked up good pieces. Kyrie was a good piece. Tristan Thompson was a good piece. But Deion Waiters has proven he cares more about shooting 30 shots a game than actually winning the game. Anthony Bennett was a flop. Like, I mean, y'all had the number 1 pick 3 out of the 4 years LeBron was gone. So I don't understand. And then you traded away Andrew Wiggins. Which LeBron did you a favor on that front. Would you rather have Andrew Wiggins? Would you rather have Andrew Wiggins and not LeBron, and then not get Kevin Love too, and who y'all overpaid again when you were the GM? Like, I don't understand.
I don't understand the wording.
I just
Yeah, I don't understand why, or why now, anyways.
Yeah, there's no point. Like, bro, you have a new job. You have a really good player in Lonzo Ball as your point, and Drew Holiday, who I think is severely underrated. I think Drew is cold. And you have a piece like Zion Williamson, who you can build around for the next decade or so, provided his athleticism stays, or if it doesn't stay, that he evolves his game. But Jackson Hayes is a great pick. You picked up great pieces in J.J. Redick. Like, this team you had...
Ingram, Hart.
Yes, has a chance to make noise. You made a great trade. Don't get your head big, though, because had LeBron not come back and basically orchestrated that Kevin Love trade, you probably don't have another job right now. You're probably fired because you tried to build in Cleveland for 4 years and made no progress, even with an elite talent like Kyrie Irving on the team. So I don't want to hear that, man. There's no way you can place any of that blame on LeBron at all. You're out of your mind, or you gotta clarify this or something. I need another statement or an interview or something. You come on the podcast.
Maybe if he's talking about the experience of always having to move pieces around to build around LeBron, I could understand that part maybe. But like I said, you're building to win a title when you have LeBron on your team, so you have to make those moves.
Absolutely.
To put him in the best position to win a title. Because if you don't even make the finals or make the playoffs without LeBron,
the whole house is getting clean.
With LeBron healthy, given that he's healthy the whole season, unlike this season, that's a different circumstance.
LeBron does the job for you because the team he put together wasn't good either. The team he had around LeBron was horrible because they lost just LeBron. They were a finals team, and then LeBron
couldn't even make it.
Yeah, and they're a top 5. They're picking in the top 5 in the draft. That was the only piece you lost. Like, Griff, you put that team together. Minus we're switching out Kyrie for Colin Sexton and then taking LeBron away. But that team was in the bottom 5. So, like, let's hop off your high horse. You made a good move with the Pelicans. Getting hired by the Pelicans was great. You made a great trade with the Pelicans, even though the man already had demanded that he wanted out anyway, so you didn't really have much choice. It's just, you need a slice of humble pie right there, my guy. And I think you were bailed out by LeBron ultimately deciding he wanted to play basketball in the same city that he had grown up in and spent his first 25 years of his life. Like, he never left Akron in 25 years, and that was the advantage you had. And to be honest, if you were another small market team where he wasn't from, you don't have that advantage. And I think you end up in the cellar again for like 5-6 years, and you end up in the Philadelphia 76er spin cycle where you're just rotating head coaches until they start rotating general managers. I mean, yeah.
So, you talked a lot about the moves and stuff, the trades and all that. Offseason. Whose offseason had the most? Who built the most? Whose team got better over the offseason? Who did the most?
Who got better over the offseason the most?
Who had the best offseason?
Who had the best offseason? Who got better the most?
Who had the best offseason?
Best offseason goes to the Clippers. Easy.
Yeah.
The Clippers were probably one shrewd move away from losing the entire offseason, which would have been a gut punch, man. You guys, the Clippers were building for years for this offseason, knowing there were going to be marquee free agents on the board, top-level free agents on the board. They knew this was coming. And
is the same thing going to do with KD?
Yeah.
How they cleared out that money so they could bring KD on?
Well, there was also a cap spike in 2016, too, that allowed for that. But the Clippers stacked their roster up with no superstars, but lots of highly competent players on very team-friendly contracts for very good terms. I think everybody on this team now has about a year left, which I believe they think they're going for a title this season. Now, of course, with Kawhi and Paul George both on the team, you'll be in the playoffs every single year, and it doesn't matter what pieces they have around. But they were a team that gave Golden State a fit last year, even when they were completely healthy. And you pick up the two best two-way players in basketball. Like, in my opinion, there's no comparison. The Lakers made moves, but I think the Lakers were stupid.
I think the Lakers gave up too much to be considered.
I do too.
I think they gave up too much to even be considered in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Clippers gave up quite a bit. They sacrificed their whole future, but they have their future in Kawhi and Paul George. They don't need draft picks for the next 5 years.
28 and 20. Yeah, they're young.
They'll be
relatively young.
Yep.
Relatively speaking.
They'll be a free agent destination. And it'll be the same thing with LeBron and AD. But the problem is we just watched LeBron get hurt. He's also 30. He was born in 84, I think. So what is he? He'll be 35 in December.
Yeah, 35.
So, I mean, that's the only thing. And we just watched him get hurt for the first time ever in his career. So, we don't know. I don't know. Kawhi's 27, 28, proving he can come back from injury.
Just
Paul
watched
George
him play like the best player on the planet.
Yep. Paul George broke his leg a few years ago and went back right to that elite
just
form.
Watched him play like an MVP.
Yep, and he's been healthy since. So, yeah, I think it's got to go to the Clippers. I think it's got to go to the Clippers. The Lakers have better specialty players as far as, being around LeBron and AD, and then everybody else is a 3-and-D player. Avery Bradley, Danny Green. Rondo's a D player, but not a 3 player.
I think that I was really shocked to see how far the Clippers got last year. I was really thrown off because everyone was saying Warriors in 4 when they played the Clippers. Clippers pulled off 2 games. I think the Clippers were in a position where they were 1 superstar away from being a title contender. And they got 2. So, as far as their all-season build, yeah, they gave up a lot of picks, but, like, if they were getting Kawhi, those picks weren't going to be nothing but 25th, 26th, nothing. Again, you could get good talent from those, but still. So, I don't think they gave up too much, and I think they gained a lot more versus the Lakers, who gave up a lot and gained. They gained a lot, but they gave up a lot.
Plus, they made a statement. Like, the Clippers were the laughing stock of the NBA for years. And Jerry West, man, that guy, no matter where he goes, that guy just kills it. And he's made the Clippers into a legitimate free agent destination. People want to go play for the Clippers now. I think it's dope. It's super dope. And I think just given the history of the Clippers and everything that happened this offseason, even if they don't win a title, I think it's just the matter of how they're viewed in the NBA society these days is different. And I think it's
different from the David Stern era.
Oh yeah.
About that.
Oh yeah. They've done a lot for Jerry West has done a lot for the Clippers. And even getting these guys a new stadium. They're not even going to be playing in the Staples Center anymore. They got a whole new arena. Like, man, I can't
wait to watch them.
Yeah, they're doing big things. I can't wait to watch that team.
But last one of the day, Westbrook. He said he will sacrifice to win a title.
So he's not gonna go for 25-point triple doubles, just like 20-point triple doubles. Maybe not 12 rebounds a game, just 10.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think it's in his nature.
He can't do it. He's got Kobe's competitive streak, but not Kobe's winning makeup. He's not a Russ isn't
not a built winner.
No,
it's not in his DNA.
It's not in his DNA to win. Russ wants to dominate more than he wants to win. I don't know. It remains to be seen. They swear they can make it work, but they swore that Chris Paul and James Harden would work. And that's just, I don't know. The new way of the NBA now is not necessarily building a good team. It's getting as many of those top 20 guys as you can get. Like, I just want, this guy's a top talent. Let me put him on my team, and we'll figure out how to fit somewhere else.
There has to be some level of cohesion that goes along.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Russ and Harden don't mesh well. They're going to bump heads the whole time.
I think they're both bullheaded, too. It's the same. You basically just got a younger Chris Paul. You just got Chris Paul when he was in New Orleans. That's all you did. And Russ isn't even young. Russ is like 31, 32. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I think Houston is going to end up staying in the exact same position they're in. They'll be a lot more fun to watch now because, Russell's 10 times the athlete CP is. But he doesn't play defense like Chris Paul, so they're missing out there. He holds the ball more than Chris Paul. He doesn't shoot near as well as Chris Paul. He's a horrible catch-and-shoot guy, actually.
Free throw shooter, terrible.
Terrible free throw shooter. Chris Paul was money from the stripe. I don't know. I think
they're going to be in the same position. I think they'll make the playoffs in a 4th or 5th seed, maybe win the first round, and then get bumped in the second round.
Houston's a desperate team right now. They paid a guy in James Harden who's a great ISO scorer, great catch and shoot guy, below average defender. Like, this is the cornerstone they chose to build around, and they're getting a little desperate now, trying to find pieces to move around them. They're not giving anybody much time. There's no continuity. They're not giving anybody any time to stick around there. So it's interesting. I'm seeing Houston as a very desperate franchise who's traded away a lot, and if they don't come up with some rings in the next 2 or 3 years while Russ and James are on these gigantic contracts, then they are up a creek without a paddle, and they're going to be in Brooklyn Nets territory and hoping for a star
this year.
Yeah, and they don't have any trade chips, so they can't. Yeah, nobody's going to deal with them. They don't have any trade pieces. So, I don't know. This was like a last-ditch effort to get James Harden a title in Houston. I don't think it'll happen. I think James Harden will go down as one of those guys like Charles Barkley. Russell Westbrook will go down in that category. Melo, guys that are great players.
Those guys who hoop, but they can't win.
No rings. But, yeah, I mean, Russ will probably be more happy there. I don't think the management is any more competent in Houston than they were in Oklahoma City, which, I mean, God, they could draft in Oklahoma City, but they could not make things happen. They couldn't win. They had one shot, and then that team just self-destructed, which is crazy because that team should be running. That team should have been what Golden State was.
Yeah. But I think even if there was a way, I don't think there's gonna be a way for them to work because D'Antoni's not gonna do nothing about it.
Yeah.
D'Antoni's just gonna let them do what they want.
D'Antoni's not a good coach either. He can coach one side of the basketball, but if you have to defend anything, he's not willing to. He doesn't care. He thinks you can.
The Rockets play the Pelicans and they got Lonzo on Russ and Drew Holiday on Horton. How are you gonna score?
And then Zion in there when they penetrate and then swatting. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Mike D'Antoni's very one dimensional. You can't win basketball games trying to score 150 points every game. It's just like once you get beyond high school, that's not a thing anymore. So yeah, I'm not really big on it. I'm not too keen on the trade. I think, like I said, I think Houston's a desperate team making desperate moves, and they're hoping for a title in the next 2 or 3 years. Otherwise, they're gonna fall into the cellar, and they're gonna be there for a while. But I mean, that's fine. 2 teams in the cellar typically have to rebuild. Check out the Nets. The Nets went in the cellar making that trade, desperate for a title, trying to make that trade, and then they waited years, but D'Angelo Russell saved them, and they did him dirty. Not really.
He's on a better team.
He's on a better team. So I mean, kind of like what I was.
Willie Cauley-Stein. People tend to forget about.
The Warriors did get Willie Cauley-Stein, didn't they?
They tend to forget about that one. I even forgot for a minute, but they got Willie too.
Yeah. But that's kind of what I was talking about with the CJ McCollum thing, because now, like, D'Angelo, if the Nets signed D'Angelo and paid him a super max, or they can't pay him a super max, but they paid him a max deal, and that's cool, and all he gets is money, but he has no shot to win. He's going to Golden State. Now he's got a legitimate shot to compete. I don't see Golden State winning anything anymore, but he's got a legitimate shot to compete, and the Nets are better off now than they were before. So I think that's the situation that worked out for everybody. Yeah, that was kind of where I was going with CJ to close this out. But yeah, thank y'all for joining. Keep a lookout on us. You know, we're starting everything up here. Keep a lookout for the Lucky Love podcast. That's for my combat sports fans. So anything from, we're doing sport karate, mixed martial arts, even professional wrestling. Not really a combat sport, but I mean, hey, I know lots of you guys are big wrestling fans out there. So keep an eye out for the Lucky Love podcast. We'll be on Himalaya here soon. Hopefully touching Apple Podcasts.
Probably set up an Instagram for this too, to kind of lay out everything, put all the stuff in there.
Okay, you're gonna edit this out. We will set up an Instagram too. It'll be Talkbros Sports Podcast. We'll put some highlights up here every week. We'll let you guys know when episodes are dropping. We'll just keep all of you guys up to date on all of that as well too. All right.
Yeah.
So for Charlie, I'm Lawrence, and we out of here. Boom.